Hello and welcome to this demo on input actions and methods. In this demo, we'll learn how to use the input actions such as click, type into, and send hotkey, and input methods such as simulate, send window messages, and hardware events when automating user interfaces with the classic design experience. Picture the following business scenario. We have recently gone through a rebranding process, and in the process, the fonts have changed. Now, we need to update our working documents and templates accordingly. This process is applicable to every department of the organization. In this demo, we'll simulate this scenario by building a process which adds text to a notepad file and performs font style and size changes. We encourage you to build along with this video. Let's begin. To start, let's create a new process. Name it Notepad Demo, and add a short description of the process. Let's update our packages by selecting Manage Packages from the Design ribbon. We'll update UIAutomation.activities package to 21.10.5 and System.activities to 21.10.4. We'll also uninstall packages such as Excel.activities and Mail.activities, as we don't need them. Let's save the changes. Before we start adding activities in Studio, let's keep the Notepad application open. Now, let's add an Attach Window activity to attach an already opened Notepad window. Note that we cannot find the Attach Window activity because we are using the modern design experience. Let's switch our design experience to Classic. Okay, let's create a new sequence. Call it Notepad Demo and add an annotation. We'll add an Attach Window activity and click Indicate Window on Screen to indicate the Notepad application. As a best practice, we'll provide descriptive names for all our activities. Next, we'll search for a Type Into activity. Drop it into the attached Notepad container. Let's also rename the Do sequence. Now, we'll indicate the area within the Notepad where we want to type the text. Next, we'll enter the text we want to enter in Notepad in the text field of the Type Into activity. We can also provide the text using the text field in the Properties panel. Now we want to type another string into the Notepad, but we want to enter it while the Notepad is still running in the background, so that the process does not interfere with our work. To do that, let's add a Minimize Window activity. Minimize Window activity minimizes the indicated window. Since we are using this activity within the Attach Window container, we don't have to indicate the Notepad window again. Let's also add another Type Into activity to type another string. Now, the second string will be typed right after the first one, and not on a new line. To write the second string on a new line, we can configure the first Type Into activity to send the Enter key after it finishes typing the text. To do this, we'll select the plus button and choose Enter from the drop-down. Currently, all two input activities are configured to use the default input method or hardware events. This means they won't be able to interact with a hidden window. What's more, if we are building this as an attended process, then a user is present by the side. The process interferes with the user's work and vice versa. This is because the activities require control of the keyboard and mouse. To change these behaviors, we'll update the input methods for the Type Into activities. We'll enable Send Window Messages from the Properties panel. Let's repeat this for the first Type Into activity as well. This way, they'll work in the screen's background and won't interfere with our work. Let's see how we did so far. We'll check if the Notepad is open and run the workflow. If we now bring the Notepad to the foreground, we can see both lines of text. Awesome! Okay, let's go to the next formatting section of the process. First, we add a new click activity and indicate the Format button in the notepad. We'll also rename the activity. Second, we'll add another Attach Window activity to attach the Format menu window. So, within the Format menu window, we'll perform all the actions. Note that we cannot indicate the Format menu currently, as clicking the Format button will result in indicating the entire Notepad window. In situations like these, we can press F2 or Function key plus F2 to pause the UI automation tool for a few seconds. By default, it pauses for 3 seconds. During this pause, we'll click Format. Our menu appears and the UI automation tool resumes. Now let's indicate the Format menu window. Next, we'll add a click activity inside the Attach Window container and click Indicate Element Inside Window. Use F2 to pause again. Indicate the Font button when the pause is done. Before moving forward, let's rename the activities. We'll enable the Simulate Click property from the Properties panel. Let's run it. We can see that the font window opens now. Before choosing a new font and style, observe the existing values and make the changes accordingly. In our example, the existing font is Times New Roman, style is italic, and size is 12. Let's go back to the studio and add a new Attach Window activity indicating the font window. We'll quickly rename the activity. Next, we'll add a Type Into activity to search for the font we want to use, in our case, Arial. As explained before, we'll enable the Send Window Messages for this activity. We'll add another Type Into activity to search for the bold font style. As before, let's enable Send Window Messages. Next, let's change the font size. It may get a bit tricky here, but it's nothing to worry about. We want to increase the existing font size by 5 points. Note that if the value entered for the font size isn't supported by the chosen font, provide a different value either by incrementing or decrementing the number. In our case, we are adding 5 to the existing value. To do this, we'll store the initial text size from the notepad in a new variable, convert the string to the int type, add 5, convert the result back to string, and enter the new value into the notepad input field. To do that, we'll use a getText activity to capture the initial text size from the notepad and to output it into a new variable. We'll learn more about getText activity in the upcoming videos. Let's add a getText activity and indicate the size field. We'll create a new variable to store the retrieved value and call the variable as font size. Let's add a Type Into activity. We use this Type Into activity to define the new font size with the following approach. We'll use the cint method to convert the variable's value to integer, add 5, and convert it back to string using toString. We'll learn more about cint in the data manipulation course. Let's not forget to enable the Send Window Messages for this Type Into activity. The last thing we do is to add a Send Hotkey activity, which will close the font window with the Enter key. Send Hotkey activity is used to send keyboard shortcuts to a UI element. This is helpful in case of unintended automation. Let's see how we did by running our workflow. And here's our text file, with the font style changed. Great! Okay, in this demo we explored input activities such as click, type into, and send hotkey, and also looked at their properties. Now go ahead and try to use these methods by using a different application such as Microsoft Word or WI. That's all for this demo. Thank you for watching. Until next time, happy automation!